Beneath the tranquil surface of any picturesque town, darkness can fester unseen. Welcome to Willow Creek, 1995, a small town emblematic of American charm and simplicity. Here, quaint houses line the leafy streets, gardens burst with the colors of summer, and laughter of children playing echoes through the air. Neighbors exchange warm greetings as they collect mail, and old friends chat idly on cozy porch swings. At the heart of this pastoral serenity is Joe Clark, a local known for his charismatic smile and community spirit. To most, Joe is a pillar of the community, a friendly face at town events, always ready with a helping hand or a kind word. His charm and affability make him a favorite among the residents, who are completely unaware of the chilling secrets he harbors. Yet, as the sun sets on Willow Creek, casting long shadows over its idyllic facades, an unsettling truth begins to stir. But behind the smiles and friendly waves, a shadow loomed, one that would soon reveal its true nature. On a warm summer night, an invitation turned into a chilling snare. Thad Phillips, a 13-year-old with a keen sense of adventure, received an unexpected text from a new friend at school, inviting him to a casual get-together. The destination was an old, somewhat isolated house on the edge of town, known among local teens as The Spot for its frequent, albeit secretive, gatherings. As Thad approached the dimly lit house, the sounds of laughter and music he expected were conspicuously absent. Instead, a heavy silence hung in the air, broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves in the gentle night breeze. A sense of unease began to creep over him, yet driven by curiosity and the assurance of friendship, he stepped inside. The house was eerily quiet. The expected crowd of peers was nowhere to be seen. Instead, Thad was greeted by Joe Clark, a figure he barely recognized from around town. Joe's presence was disconcerting. His smile, too wide, didn't reach his eyes, which flickered with a cold, calculating gleam. Thad's instinct screamed at him to leave, but before he could act on them, Joe's hand was on his shoulder, guiding him further into the house. As they walked through the hallway, Joe began talking about an exclusive part of the evening, meant only for special guests. Thad's discomfort escalated as they descended into the basement, a stark concrete space illuminated only by the harsh light of a single bulb. The walls were lined with what looked like medical equipment, and in that chilling moment, Thad's heart raced with the horrifying realization of Joe's intentions. Joe's voice grew softer, more menacing as he began to speak of his fascination with human endurance and pain thresholds. Thad, realizing the imminent danger, felt a surge of adrenaline. His mind raced, looking for avenues of escape, but Joe was watching closely, anticipating just such thoughts. As the door clicked shut, Thad was left facing the bone breaker himself. Thad's ordeal would unearth a forgotten tragedy. As the grim details of his encounter with Joe Clark came to light, whispers of a similar terror resurfaced. The name Christian Steiner echoed through the town once more, a chilling reminder of unresolved pain. Christian, a vibrant teenager known for his infectious laugh and adventurous spirit, had vanished without a trace 1 year prior. His disappearance had cast a shadow over the community, but hope of finding him had dwindled with each passing day. The breakthrough in Thad's case led investigators to revisit Christian's file. Juxtaposing the two boys' experiences painted a macabre picture. Both had been lured under false pretenses, their trust exploited by a man whose heart was devoid of empathy. It was during this renewed investigation that authorities made a harrowing discovery. Christian's body was found entangled in the cold embrace of the Wisconsin River. Initial reports had hastily concluded an accidental drowning, but the sinister parallels with Thad's narrative prompted a deeper probe. Evidence unearthed at the riverbank spoke volumes. The subtle marks on Christian's remains mirrored the cruel handiwork of Joe Clark. This revelation shattered the earlier, simplistic analysis of his demise. It wasn't just an accident, it was a calculated act of cruelty, a fact that had been overlooked, masked by the seemingly tranquil waters. The waters of the Wisconsin River had concealed a secret just as dark as the night sky above. Cornered and terrified, Thad knew he had only one choice. In the dimly lit basement that had become his prison, the air was thick with dread. But fear, the kind that chills to the bone, can sometimes forge a clarity and courage rarely summoned in safer moments. It was in this crucible of terror that Thad Phillips found his resolve. The walls seemed to close in around him as Joe Clark, his captor, momentarily stepped away, leaving behind a chilling silence. Thad's heart pounded in his ears, each beat a deafening drum of urgency. He scanned the shadowy room, his eyes catching a glimpse of a loosely boarded window. It wasn't much, but it was enough. With Joe's heavy footsteps echoing in the background, Thad made his move. He pulled at the boards with a desperate strength he didn't know he possessed. Nails screeched as they gave way, and a rush of cold night air filled his lungs. Freedom was just beyond that small opening, but it was as vast as the ocean in that moment. He squeezed through the window, his body scraped and bruised by the rough edges. Once outside, Thad didn't pause to feel the pain. He ran as if the very shadows were chasing him, which, in a very real sense, they were. His mind was singularly focused. Reach the authorities, tell the story, stop the monster. Finally, seeing the flickering lights of a nearby police station, Thad's sprint became a stagger. He burst through the doors, gasping for breath, his words tumbling out in a frantic cascade. The officers, taken aback by the sight of the battered boy, sprang into action. With every ounce of strength, Thad shattered the silence that had protected his captor. The capture of Joe Clark opened a Pandora's box of horrors. In the quiet aftermath of his arrest, the investigative team delved deep into the lair of a man who had masqueraded as a benign neighbor in a picturesque community. The search through Joe's cluttered, dimly lit home brought them to a chilling find: a worn, leather-bound journal that would soon reveal the depth of his depravity. As the detectives leafed through the yellowed pages, each entry unfurled more of the sinister tapestry that Joe had woven around his life. The journal was a macabre catalog of his thoughts and actions, with detailed descriptions of how he lured his victims, the methods he used to break their will along with their bones, and his cold reflections post each horrifying act. It wasn't just a journal, it was a gateway into the mind of a monster. The further they read, the more the pieces began to fit together. Entries matched the dates of several unsolved disappearances, painting a gruesome picture of a predator hiding in plain sight. One particular entry, stark and unyielding, described the night Christian Steiner went missing. It was written with a chilling detachment, a mere transaction in Joe's ledger of cruelty. Forensic teams worked tirelessly, cross-referencing Joe's confessions with physical evidence gathered over the years. Fibers, fingerprints, and DNA, elements that once were dead ends in cold cases, now found their significance reevaluated in the light of Joe's journal. Each piece of evidence wove a stronger net around him, a net made of his own words and deeds. Investigators also uncovered photographs and personal belongings of several victims, hidden away in secret compartments and buried in the backyard. These macabre trophies were silent testaments to the lives Joe had shattered. As the investigation continued, the community reeled from the revelations. The man they once greeted on the street had harbored secrets so dark that they polluted the very essence of their peaceful existence. As the pages turned, so too did the stomachs of even the most hardened detectives. In the face of overwhelming darkness, the light of justice began to shine. The courtroom buzzed with the palpable tension of a community awaiting closure as Joe Clark, the man known as the Bone Breaker, stood trial. The evidence against him was damning. Thad Phillips, with courage that belied his years, recounted the harrowing ordeal of his encounter with Joe. His testimony, vivid and chilling, left an indelible mark on all present. Simultaneously, the reopened case of Christian Steiner added layers to the prosecution's narrative. Forensic evidence linked the injuries sustained by both boys, painting a gruesome picture of Joe's brutal compulsions. The jury, moved by the stark parallels and the weight of the evidence, found Joe Clark guilty on all counts. As the gavel came down, a wave of relief swept through the courtroom. Families of the victims, who had been ensnared in a nightmare of uncertainty and fear, finally embraced the solace of closure. Justice, though delayed, was no longer denied. As the gavel fell, a town's nightmare reached its conclusion, but its echo lingers on. In the quaint town of Willow Creek, the shadow of Joe Clark, the infamous Bone Breaker, casts a long, dark silhouette against the backdrop of everyday life. Yet, it's not just a tale of darkness and despair. It's a story woven with the resilient threads of a community that refused to be broken. In the aftermath of Joe's capture, Willow Creek has transformed. The streets that once echoed with the whispers of fear now resonate with a collective commitment to vigilance and solidarity. Neighbors are more connected, watchful, yet there's a warmth in their interactions, a shared understanding of what they've overcome together. Community programs have been initiated to support those affected by Joe's reign of terror, and annual gatherings are held to honor the memories of the victims, ensuring their stories are not forgotten. May this story be a reminder. In the face of darkness, The spirit of resilience can ignite the flames of justice.